Make it interactive. We'll be asking few questions, and hopefully there are chocolates I saw.
That's for me, not for that.
Oh, just to introduce myself, I'm Arkadip Basu, Principal Engineer. I did my Master's in AI from ISC Bangalore. Today coming from ISC, had one session in the morning. So let's start and talking about the agenda. So we'll talk about what is automated evaluation. First, LLM as a judge. What are the biases of LLM as a judge? Then agent as a judge. How could we handle that? What are the mitigation strategies and what to use? Some of the best practice tools and frameworks available. And when to use what and probably in which direction we are driving. I may not know where we are actually driving. It's a collaborative effort. So I need the help from all of you that what are your suggestions, what are the things you are practicing in your respective industries. We'll get to know. Let's start. Why automated evaluation? In the context we have already briefed that today a lot of content is getting generated. Do you know what is the best programming language as on date? Today? English. English. So you just so whether you know Rust is getting very popular these days. So whether you know Rust, C# or whatever, you just give a good prompt. Claude is there to help you. So we are generating an enormous amount of stuff. So we have to do the automated evaluation. Few benefits I like to call out. That example there is a RLHF, reinforcement learning, human feedback. Whatever the AI does, we used to have a post switch, kill switch, human will evaluate, but that's a consuming and companies are cutting cost, eliminating resource, too much firing. So cost reduction is there. So 60 to 90% cost can be eliminated if we use the LLM as a charge. And of course, your LLM or ChatGPT's aunt does not die on a Friday night and he does not apply for a special leave. So it's always available and the faster evaluation cycle that you get a very fast response whenever you trigger a batch operation triggers and it gets resolved. And there is a correlation that whatever the human efficiency, say for example, we have a LLM generated code and we ask you for review. Whatever the human evaluation benchmark and whatever the LLM evaluation benchmark, as on date it is almost 80%. And in future it is going to be more. So that's pretty accurate as of now. So few methods I like to call out that BLEU, ROGUE. So BLEU is the bi-language evaluation under feed, recall oriented under feed question evaluation. These are something. So let me talk to you about the BLEU and ROGUE. These are the very two important parameters. Say for example, one text has been generated. Take a recent topic, maybe FIFA World Cup. So if a editorial people need to write something about the FIFA World Cup, whatever the human will write and whatever the AI will write, if we compare both as a rubrics that this is human generated, this is LLM generated, what are the similarities? So by that we measure with the BLEU, that is bilingual bilingual evaluation under feed. And the ROGUE. And ROGUE have multiple parameters that it checks that how much string is matching from the human text and the LLM text. So there are inter overlaps and so also let's talk about the human annotation. So say for example, as I told that human can be employed and they can be annotated further, and for that human need to be paid, and there are rule-based classifier that whether if I ask him that write about the World Cup football, I don't expect to write about probably Euro Cup or so, or probably the club football tournament. So I need to see that whether it is grounded, whether it is faithful to the context or not. And now embedding similarities so that it checks that whether it is close to the quality. Am I following the ground principle, whatever my user system prompt is, that is being evaluated. Now talking about the maturity spectrum, first we know that whenever we used to be a software engineer, we used to manually review the code. So there is a chance of the manual review, that hard checking of the sample things, which is time consuming and probably also have a human bias error factor. Now we have the metric list. The BLEU and ROGUE I have already discussed. Now the final one, LLM as a judge is current one, the market, probably the ongoing practice, and in future will slowly come into the agent as a judge. Talking about the LLM as a judge, which is topic for today. So how do you evaluate that output, whether it is scalable, semantic? Any thoughts what do you understand by semantic and scalable?
Sorry, comment?
What do you understand about the semantic?
Semantic means similarity with can, it relates okay, there are animals.
They are animals, correct? So the context similarity. So the cosine factor is close. So how about something that we are probably telling? So football is a synonymous of soccer, but not actually the same. So is LLM generating that kind of thing? That is getting measured. Practically, I cannot tell that. I can tell football World Cup, but cannot tell soccer World Cup. Both are different. So by that we actually measure. How we will come to that? Now talking about the LLM as a judge, how do we do that? First, we set up the ground context. How we do that? That hey, this is the prompt, and there are, we know that few shot prompting, no shot prompting like that. When we mention that this is the prompt and this is what the factors that we will be evaluating upon. Second thing, output. So there are multiple models. We know that any of you use the open router? One. Sir, can you please tell that why you use open router?
Like it's providing multiple type of model with the one API key.
Absolutely, very good answer. So LLM is kind of a probabilistic model, and in this era of precision, we don't want probability that I don't know what will happen. Company does not pay you for that. You need a guaranteed deterministic response. Why you use open router kind of thing? So say for example, if one model fails, we saw that ChatGPT went down, Anthropic went down. It can happen. Your token might got exhausted. What will happen? You will tell your customer that, hey man, my LLM model is down, that's why I cannot answer, not accepted. So for that, about falling safe and getting a better fallback strategy. So what is your fallback strategy? What is your alternate way of approach? That's why we have one or more model who will take care of your responses. Final, third thing is the evaluation prompt. I will set up the rubrics. By rubrics, what I mean? You know about the hybrid search. You already answered about the semantic search. Hybrid search, any thoughts from your side? What do you understand?
Keyword search as
Mixed of keyword based
Right, exactly. Anything from this side?
keyword based search
plus vector search.
Correct, exactly. So I want to ensure that few of the things that LLM will provide, that should be in there. And now I will have some optional reference answers so that when I talk about the few short response, so that I will give an example that these are the some of the examples that I will accept. Now finally the judge model. Now in this case, one thing that I will probably also consider to come up in one of my slides, but let me talk to you that use your most powerful model. You may have subscription to Copilot, Gemini, Anthropic and multiple other things. But ensure your judge should be the most powerful. Whatever the other model generates, your most powerful model should evaluate. And most importantly, if you are generating Claude, don't make Claude as a judge. Use another model for the judge. Now, how could I score? We have the first one, point-wise scoring. For that, like the good, better, best, we have a 5-point rubrics. Is this kind of a, what is the sense? Is it kind of human-centric, business-centric? Or whatever your production dashboard, my company specific, is it matching? For that, I am going to score between 1 to 5, and based on that, it will be further calculated. Second wise, pair wise. Have you seen in recent ChatGPT, whenever you do conversation, there actually gives you two response and ask which one is better? Have any of you experienced? That's kind of the pair wise. So when it is generating both the models simultaneously, at the same time, it is asking your feedback. So you are actually helping the model to improve. So whether A or B is better, based on that we are doing. Now list wise. We have the N candidates and based on that we are ranking. So consider the rank application. We have chunk of documents, how much documents we are retrieving. And based on that we are retrieving, am I retrieving the correct information, correct chunks, and from there we are generating the responses. Last one, reference. So earlier human used to generate a lot of code, and today if you know that actually humans are being paid, and today systems are frightened to get all the agent or the LLM oriented data. So human generated data is kind of something unique that human have already generated. But whatever the agent generated, that's kind of some bias, some hallucination, some mistakes are there. So we have considered the gold standard as something that human have considered, human have developed as a SOP. We are comparing with that. So compare with our standard. And last one, whatever we are not making reference free, so that no reference, whatever is coming, we are accepting it as it is, and then benchmarking, is it good or bad? Little bit like the first one, that as per the scoring. few things that what are the things that we do? First, explicit rubrics that we mentioned. Example, FIFA World Cup. Is Argentina probably in the semi-final, I believe? Is Argentina name is mentioned in the World Cup? If yes, then probably it's a good response. If Ronaldo's name is there, probably good response. But probably what is the country? El Salvador. If it is not there, that is also okay. So that kind of benchmark we are mentioning, we are explicitly mentioned that whenever LLM generates the response, this kind of keyword should be present. So that's why we are defining. And I am taking example of FIFA, but consider from your business use case. Chain of thoughts. If I talk to you about Argentina, what the first thing comes into your mind? Yes, exactly. So that's the chain of thought. If I talk to you about gut curry, what comes to your mind? Correct. So that's the chain of thought. The first thing comes, then second thing, and probably ethanol, then probably many other things not going there. Now we are talking about the dimension compression. So whenever we are going for the too much dimension, we are actually making our model too big. And how this happens? Actually the matrix multiplication. So that is question. So can we reduce some dimension so that our calculation can be fast? It is not that LLM have generated answer within probably 10 minutes and my model is taking 2 hours for evaluation. Nobody will accept it. So how could we reduce some of the unimportant parameters and we could find out what are the important things? Structured output. Is it doing the para-wise? Say for example, it can give a long 100-sentence text, or probably if you like that heading, para, sub-para, bullet point wise. Is it coming with a structured output which probably human will like? For last one, calibration example, that we can have some score templates that human feels that this is my company policy, this is how it will look. So like the reference-based model that I have my gold standard, is it following the standard or not? One of the simple example, you know about the system prompt, like kind of a, what is that, skill.md. That you are mentioning that, hey, you are the rigorous calibrated evaluator, I am just adding something that be brutally honest, you are kind of a supreme judge, think everything and punish wherever you see the positive thing and then do the scoring. And now I am mentioning that rubric based scale between 1 to 5, 5 being the full correct, no hallucination, and 1 is that hallucinated result where probably harmful content is being exposed. And the reasoning is that step-by-step analysis and n where n is equal to my criterion. Few biases I have as of now from internet found out the 7 type of biases. Talking about the first one, okay, before I come there, any question till that point will be happy to take up.
Who will judge that how the response is, if it is 5 or 1?
So that's the LLM will judge whether it is 5 or 1, and now at the end of the day, it's a human who will actually sign out, because as of now we have not arrived to that maturity level that whatever LLM tells is a truth. So LLM, first your agent or LLM will generate the response, LLM will evaluate, then final human, that is the current practice. But probably the goal is that agent will orchestrate everything and then give a sign off.
If LLM generates, then it will judge, then agent will judge.
LLM generates, LLM evaluates, human review, sign off. Any other questions?
So evaluation itself, do we have to release about data operation where maybe 5% will be reviewed by human, or the ones which are reviewed by human again be verified? When you say review, it is just 100% evaluation has happened by LLM as a judge. Human is just giving an approval. What do you think?
Okay. So generally the practice is that full evaluation is done by LLM, full 100%.
What if it goes wrong?
Absolutely, and so now here comes the point that LLM have probably mentioned that this question is incorrect, maybe rank 2. LLM have to give a citation that why it thinks like that citation, why it is probably scoring low. Human need to go through that. So that's why the explainable AI comes into the picture, that whatever like the RAM we talk, don't hallucinate from where you are retrieving, which chunk you are retrieving, mention that. So here whenever you are scoring, why you have scored low on that, give a justification. Of course LLM can again hallucinate on that, and there human comes into the picture. So to your answer, it's not that, it is used to be a practice for some companies that I check 5% of that and believe that okay, everything is going fine and then put it into production. Not the best practice. You have to evaluate everything and then finally, as he asked, that
We have to be
kind of.
So for LLM as a judge, like golden data should be there, right?
So which data?
Golden data.
Golden
data.
Golden data, yes,
Yes.
right.
What if it is not sufficient for it to identify? Can we generate a synthetic data?
Again, whenever you are generating synthetic data, you are using taking the help of LLM again. That's kind of a.
So what is it?
So the point is that I have probably shown you, and maybe I will come back to there. So that is the fourth one you are talking about, the compare but in the gold standard. So if you don't have a gold standard, better create a better SOP document that these are my checklists. Let's say for example, whenever company resource will be accessed, user must connect to the VPN, no other way. That's kind of a gold document. And I will give a very simple example, but it can be much more complex. That whenever you are accessing probably a DMZ router, use the multi-factor authentication. Of course, you should connect to VPN plus multi-factor authentication, like that. So this is something that is required. In case you don't have the document, my recommendation is that better to get that. In case you don't have it, better go with the other option that, hey, whenever this kind of response is being generated, am I following this kind of VPN, multi-factor authentication, token, this kind of keywords or not? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
So when you say the LLM judge, so there is this saying LLM council by Karpati, they are mentioning it. Is it similar to that? So they are saying this LLM council, they have the similar concept, right? You ask question, there will be 5 different agents that will judge you, will give you a better option. Is it similar to that or is
Kind of,
kind
yes,
of?
I will come.
Okay.
Sir, if LLM, they're asking what are the information they're giving for that chat. So suppose human coming up playing the role in the one of the part in the AI tools. Suppose how they knows for whether it is the right information or wrong information. Or actually I know so this is the right information. Someone is a kid coming to that. So whatever they're getting from information, GPT or different tools, they will think about this is the correct information. So previously we used for books, someone is written there, we are following. Right now hallucination or semantic search, there are different meanings also. So as a judge, how we can stop or what is the main perspective from your side?
If you draw an analogy from the normal life, say for example, how do you do a change in the production? We as a developer create the template, tell the plan, this is my execution plan, this is the expected output, this is the associated log, and then we send it for approval. Who approves? Someone who is senior to me. Similarly, in these cases also, we at least expect that whoever will approve have the knowledge and probably free from biases. That's what the expectation and probably the ideal case is. Does that answer?
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Okay? Okay. Just okay. Okay. You have a question. Okay.
So, as a developer, generally what I do in my daily life, right? If I write a code, or maybe if I prepare a design document, if I use maybe generally I use Claude, right? So I get it reviewed from Codex. So this is one use case which I can think of when you are saying that LLM as a judge, right? So when you said that we can use that template, is it for this kind of use case or you are suggesting for some other kind of use cases?
Maybe I say that, say for example, you told that you use Opus probably for development. Consider that that is good and you are using Codex for evaluation. That is okay. I am almost telling same thing, but my point is that probably whatever the Codex Opus have generated, that's a script. But you are employed to develop an application, so you have to ensure your upstream, downstream application, library management, all the things. So that's total thing is application. So now when you feed that to a LLM as a judge, the question will be that, hey, is the coding syntax correct, logic is correct, and second thing is the upstream and downstream integrity is fine, whatever the data ingestion volume expected. Say for example, you have a downstream application which can handle certain amount of things, but you are probably generating a huge amount of log or data which a downstream application cannot handle. That is why the LLM as a judge will evaluate. It will synthetically, so he mentioned about the synthetic data. So that time our synthetic data will be generated and passed to the downstream application and being checked. Can it handle how much data it will be able to handle?
So I'll take an example. Say I have to build a specific feature, right? And maybe a set of features we can say as part of a project, right? And I take all of that context, I feed it to Opus. This is what we are going to build, and we break it into tasks. We'll do it one by one. We'll raise PR by PR. Okay. Now, when I am doing this, what I am actually doing is, I go for first task, I let it implement it, then I manually test it, right? I check if everything is working perfectly and this is what I want. Before raising the PR, I go to Codex and I see that check the implementation and all of those stuff before I raise the PR, so that I am sure that everything which I have implemented or maybe Claude has implemented, that's correct. So this is how I am using it as a judge, if we can say, a Codex thing, right? Now what you are saying, I feel it's a little different. You are saying I should use it before that specific step, is it?
I am telling that before you deploy to the production, whatever you have, so before you upload to the Git, you have a local setup. So on your local setup, do the judgment part. And it's kind of my thought, whatever I am telling, it's just my thought. There can be a different practice which can be efficient for you because this is a learning phase. My suggestion is that in your local environment, do the testing first. Whatever error you find it, ensure that in your local it is handled, and then you push to the Git and then article build, Docker image build and so on.
Okay. So this.
So in our case, so the user's feedback, will be stopped or will it still considered?
So will be considered.
So
Because
it will still train again on based on.
so I am actually, what my point is that whatever the code has been generated, you have a local setup, you are testing that before you deploy to the production or before you upload to the Git, you are actually doing the evaluation. Now in that time, if you use that LLM as a judge, then on the local instance you are getting the feedback that whatever is correct or not, and then you as a human can supervise the thing that this thing is coming up. Maybe I have some slides on that also, that this is the something that I can correct on my local setup before I push it to the next level.
And this was one use case, right? Which developers can use. Any other use cases which you would like to highlight for this LLM as a judge?
I have a slide for that. Yeah, I will take after.
And I mean, you said before moving the application to production, right?
Before pushing to the Git, because when you push to the Git, it first go to the development. Then system integration checks and other things, security checks done. Then staging, then production. My point is that of course you can do at any point of time, and you should do after you deploy to the system integration test, that time you also do. But my suggestion is that instead of putting on the Git beforehand, check everything on your local, so that, because whenever you put it on Git, it is kind of a public data for your team. And your team can come and comment that, hey, they are probably using another LLM to check that what is there. And then you give a comment. Better you check yourself and then
So
upload.
this evaluation, whatever you are proposing, is it okay to run it in production also?
I mean the LLM as a judge?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, then it would have come to latency also.
Not the latency, because it is kind of evaluating whatever the LLM response is. Whatever your integration is, that is being evaluated.
It's like, okay, inference is already happened, we are reviewing.
Correct.
Is it
Not
not
in
like
real time, is it?
Not in real time.
so in production application also we can use LLM as judge, you are saying?
Maybe I will give a very, not related to this topic, but maybe give another topic. Say for example, most of are kind of IT professional. Somehow we have been told that write a medical report of something. What do you do? Of course 100% of us go into the LLM model, ask the question, are you 100% sure that whatever the LLM model have given us is the correct thing? Maybe what most of us will do that, whatever the, probably take the example of Gemini. Whatever the Gemini response it gave, we'll probably put it on a Claude or GPT and ask that, hey, can you please refine it further? Like that. So you are actually using one level of verification. That's kind of an evaluation, and that is kind of a refining, but here I am talking about judge, because here you are building an application which has multiple integration, multiple dependency, multiple package, I mean the Python, what is the pip library, whatever the library module. So if a version changes, your application can go wrong.
But I have heard that production application should not be evaluated in the normal way, like using
That's kind of a
security.
absolutely company specific. So if your company has something trade secret, and if you expose it to the LLM to evaluate, then LLM already got your data. So in that case, data leakage, of course, in that case you should not use. Yeah, I will come back to the questions in a while. We had discussion on this. Okay, fine. Yeah, so there are 7 types of bias. First one, the position biased. So first we check that, say for example, whatever the LLM response has been generated, is it actually putting more emphasis on the first position? Say for example, generally in English the word starts with A and D, this kind of thing. Is it putting too much thing? Or probably if it is something, what is the mitigation strategy? Swap the ordering. It's kind of a severe thing. Just have a look. I will just call out this something high and critical one. So the self-enhancement, the one that I talked about. Example, that you are using Gemini 2.5 Flash for generating the code and probably using the Gemini 3 for evaluation. So though the models are different, but they are from the same family. And they will not be a correct judge for that. So for that, use a different judge. Another one, dominant bias. So say for example, kind of a, you know that what are the architecture, encoder, decoder architecture, that you also need to follow. Just for example, again, Gemini probably follow one architecture, and let's take another model that probably the Cohen. Maybe that Cohen version 1.5 also uses similar architecture. So that should not be used. So what model, what judge you are using, that you have to be cautious about. That if they are from the same family, if they are using the same kind of architecture, probably that will not be a better judge in such cases. You have to find an alternate architecture setup so that you get a variety of, I mean, you are here, what is the expectation of my judge? It's not Tariq Pedali. It's about that getting more critical feedback that, hey, this is wrong. Maybe I will get some false positive feedback also, but let me get the feedback that this is probably the wrong and this may break into the production environment. What's the last one? Suffocacy is that use binary evaluation. Okay. Kind of not that important, but say for example, there are masked models where your model name is getting hidden. Say for example, I am getting evaluated by Gemini 2.5 or probably Upas 4.6. If that is getting masked, so if that is getting exposed, then this kind of thing happens. So what is the mitigation strategy? I will not disclose that what is the model that is getting evaluated or who have generated this code. I will mask that identity. Just I will take a pause to have a look, and these are the type of critical which we discussed. And knowledge cutoff is something, say for example, as of now, if you, I in my personal laptop use the Olama Gemma 4 version, which have a knowledge cutoff 2025. So if I ask him about the state of Hormuz, he will say, eat Tarmuz. So that's the knowledge cutoff thing, that you model should be aware of the latest thing. Yeah, so someone have asked about that, probably you have asked about that, what are the score according to the model. So the GPT-4 have a kind of a 1, so what is that? It is kind of a style bias. So just have a look that as of now we have find that Gemini is kind of a better in terms of the evaluation factors, and the more we tell that it's neutral, it's never a neutral thing, that's why it have never reached full accuracy. And yeah, so based on that architecture styles, it is giving the responses. Now comes the RLHF. So you know about the HF part? Right. So what it happens that just whenever we are using the same model, that Opus for generation, Opus for judging, then probably I am not getting the proper judgment. I should use the different one, and take it second thing, probably if I am using the GLM model, I should check their architecture. I have already described that. Now do the audit. So the something that you have mentioned, that's the 5%, yeah. So the 5% of the things should be human ruled, whatever the LLM tells. Minimum, this is the ground, bare minimum. So how to handle the multiple agent bias? So first you have multiple agent A, B, C. And first round, you see that chain of thought based, whatever the amplified result, and the subsequent rounds you get it. That's the multi-agent, and now LLM as judge. So first one, on the left side I have the agent, and the right side I have the LLM as the judge. So fine, I have the 3 models, and whenever this thing has been collated from the internet, Even the companies are right now giving probably some of the LLM, but actually that is taking cost. So here in every case I am using the 4 models. So the company have to bear a lot of cost for the subscription part. So you have to be cautious that instead of multi-agent, multiple judge, can you compress, can you have a cohesive, optimized judge who can be able to take up? That's something that we as a developer need to do. For illustration purpose, I can tell that it used in the judge for better evaluation. So the individuals, independent scoring, whatever the models are giving, that need to be evaluated. Whatever the better evaluation judgment we are getting, whatever the resistance. So say for example, some model, because if you ask about the Chinese model like the Queen, DeepSeek, that something about the China specific, they have the knowledge bias. They will tell something about that. So think about that. Can we optimize, can we have a model which can handle all of the things together? So that's something. Now talking about the future prospect, agent as a judge. So why we are talking? So any thoughts? Maybe something is already there, but any thoughts that what will be the difference between agent as a judge and LLM as a judge?
Agent would mostly carry knowledge and the history typically.
Maybe I will change the knowledge one into memory. Is that make sense? Any other thought? He is right. Any other thought?
Autonomous also.
Correct. If you give permission.
And thinking process also is something agent.
So, yeah, you go ahead.
Reasoning and add together.
Yeah,
It does some extra task after.
It will have tools access.
Correct. So if I collate everyone's very good point, so if I just collate everything together, then I have a probably skills dot amplify that it can act. If I, of course, if I give permission, if I tell that hey, don't do this, then probably no point of using agent as a judge service. But if my boundary is that okay, fine, you come exploit my service, do whatever penetration testing, evaluation testing, and then give me the response, then you should think, plan, act, and then give me the response. And talking about the contextual memory, what is my design philosophy? Am I following the, say for example, am I following the camel case everywhere? If somewhere I copy it from the internet and it is probably all small case, my agent should be able to highlight that hey, it is breaking your pattern. This is also one of the feedback that I expect my agent to give. Because it can read everything, so I want him to have total cohesive answer. And now when we use agent, that time we are getting rid of the LLM. When I was talking about the Opus, Gemini, Claude, what is that other, OpenAI, yeah, multiple things. Now when I am using the LLM as a judge, agent as a judge, so you know that in probably if you use the open router, there is a thing that it determines what is the task type. If your task is kind of a blog post, then it uses first to determine what is the type of task you are doing. Probably if I as a human need to just search anything, I just open Gemini in my mobile, I type, I get the response. Probably if I feel that I need to be code something, then I open Claude like that. But your open router knows, probably if you have that knowledge or training, it checks that what is something user is asking me to do, and based on that it is doing. So like, just to give it another parallel example, that if you use for calculation purpose your GPU, will GPU be able to give answer? Yes, it will be, but you are actually using to compute heavy thing for that, so use the optimized resource. So that's why agent as a judge actually can evaluate, plan your system and use whatever the correct resource need to be used here. And all the points you have already described, that first trajectory analyzer, by that I mean the planning phase. First I need to plan about the syntax, I need to check whatever the, say for example, if any library is getting depreciated or not. If it is getting depreciated, what is the alternative? That thing I am expected to get. So it will plan that whatever the version, mismatch or something, sub-goal validator. So check the individual steps. Whenever we write a program or a application, it actually divides into programs, modules, packages like that. So it will check step by step whatever this package is present. Let's keep it in a memory. I will pass to my next module. If I take that previous output, am I getting to generate the sample output and which is matching the test case or matching the rubrics or not? That is the sub-goal validators. Evidence gather. So actively, fine. So that's kind of the, whatever the result I am getting. Say for example, somewhere I am getting some result. It's kind of your choice whether you will give your model to access internet or not. But it have the capability that it can search web or your knowledge, DB queries, by that I mean the knowledge you have, to verify that whatever the claim LLM is making, because LLM is coming from the internet, it is it actually factually correct or not, and then the rubric interpreter. So if I am mentioning that this is my rubric, that if a person is coming to office at 9 am, he is punctual. Maybe just for a random example, is he able to interpret properly? By punctual, what I mean? Is he following comma, full stop like that, or he is coming disciplined? What is that? So is my model able to do that? So that's kind of something that we think whenever we are designing agent as a judge. And finally, the meta evaluator, that's actually whenever there is a conflict. So say for example that my model have a conflict, whatever, and the initial example I was giving, maybe your first module is generating a big amount of data chunks, which is probably my downstream application will not be able to take it. I probably need to divide into partition. So that kind of evaluation I am expecting, that whenever I am using a super agent as a judge, I am expecting that whatever the loopholes my model will generate or my code will generate, I will get some feedback. I am not asking him to give the solution, but that's critical. If you remember few slides back I talked about that you are a critical evaluator. Just ask me question. I am not a superhuman. I am not Elon Musk. So ask me all the questions so that I can refine myself better. That's what the philosophy is. I'm sorry. Okay, so few things that ingest full stars can be. Fine. So just few things that it's not that I am uploading. So say for example you have probably 1,000 line of code or probably 10,000 line of code. It's not that I am initially uploading 10,000 line of code and telling them evaluate them. Then another time I am uploading. Instead of that, the best practice is that put it everything in one go, so that model can understand that this is my full module, and based on that I need to evaluate. If you just give it break-wise, split-wise kind of thing, then your context is getting broken and it will be very tough to reconstruct the things. Second one, that step-wise you have to do planning, tool use, reasoning, and the output, whatever is coming, that you have to see. And use the specialist validator, that whatever the code evaluation. So am I calling the right tool? Am I calling, if it is a JavaScript, am I calling the JavaScript internally to get the result? And collect immediate verdicts, confidence score, supporting evidence. This is number 4 point is kind of the whatever the supporting evidence, that say for example something has failed. Why it has failed? I need to have some citation. So I am expecting LLM to capture the output. Probably it will, example if I am talking about the Python, it will just put some caret that this is the error. But what does that mean? Is it kind of something dependency mismatch or probably variable not declared like that? So give me the clear English text output. Fifth one, synthesize final judgment, process quality. So it should be always following the quality, efficiency and safety. Safety is most important. And last one, return structured output with scored, rational, actionable feedback. So if I am getting the response, it is my expectation. What is the mitigation strategy? If this is coming, what should be my corrective action? That thing I am expecting. Of course, this is kind of an ideal situation that probably we want to build. As of now, not anyone, even not in, as per my knowledge, very few companies have achieved that. But this is something that we expect the model to generate. We have achieved some degree of confidence on that. So this is 6 points. Before I move to the next, I will again take 1-2 minutes pause for questions.
Yeah, so one question about multimodality. When I saw multi-dimensional multimodality came in. So how do you evaluate when pictures or pictorial representation of some data?
Do I did not get it?
Okay, maybe I as a user am uploading some picture.
Louder ones.
Okay, I as a user, I want to evaluate the text as well as it involves a picture. So now, majority, I think if I understand correctly, it is about language, right?
As of now, I'm
Yes.
talking about language.
So if pictures are involved, not about or what special differences are there?
Correct. Very good point. So just for everyone's understanding that whatever LLM, large language models, we mostly talked about the language. But we see that today's document contains diagram, charts, pictures also. Now how about the pictures? So we can consider two things. If it's an architectural diagram where you can use the extract module Python libraries to generate do the OCR operation to retrieve the text kind of thing. So that is one option. And since you are using an agent, whether Gemini, Opus or Claude or Codex, so if you use that, they already have the inherent capability to retrieve that information. So if that can be retrieved, your judge should be able to. So you know that what is something that you are providing as an input and what the charge you should keep. That's something. So probably just give a annotation that Gemini 1.5 probably not doing the image classification thing. So if you know that your input is going to be something image, you are not going to use the Gemini 1.5.
Usually for the judgment, LLM uses the small models usually do that. And this one of the criteria is just full task specification of full thing. So context window, crossing, all those things can be there. Like how can we mitigate? I know you said it's eligible for happy path, ideal case, not suitable for every case. But is there any way that if it crosses the context window, then it can produce a wrong judgment?
No. So here in this case, say for example, whatever the model we as a personal use are using kind of a free. For example, we use the Gemini, so that have a probably limited context window. If you do too much ChatGPT or Claude, it tells that your quota got exhausted, you come back after some time. But when I am talking about the enterprise model, you have a larger context. So your token bandwidth is kind of expanded in that case. That's the answer.
But for LLM as a judge, that is generating or retrieval, those models are large models. But these ones for judgment and all, are we going to use such huge models or small?
Recommended that whatever your best model in your inventory is that use the best model for judgment.
Okay.
Because I can give you one analogy how ChatGPT works. ChatGPT uses the tiniest model to generate the answer so that it can give the fastest response. And then it passes through a big model to check that whatever the tiniest model have given is correct or not. If it is correct, you get an instant answer. Consider that if the best model on the first go, you are asking how to play football, for example. If your biggest model is going to operate, then probably it will take 2 minutes to respond. And you will complain that, hey man, my fast token to add is too much time, I will not use that. So the point is that whenever you are using an enterprise grade model, it should be allowed because you have a longer context window, you have a longer memory, so it should be useful.
So what are the token optimization strategy that we could use? Like there is one like just like you said, like the using open routers like different models. Okay. So what are the other strategy that we could use? Because this whole LLM as a judge is going to be like token exhaustive.
Correct, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe out of this context, but a very good question is that everything that we do costs token.
Yes.
How could we optimize that?
Yes.
Generally, we use the JSON format. And how does JSON do? Say for example, name or Arkadip, occupation, IT engineer, resides, Bangalore. Maybe another person, name, your name please? Krish. Occupation, again, IT engineer, resides in Bangalore. And probably other person, same thing. So what is here that every time I am repeating name, occupation, where. Instead of this, there is a concept called tool. Anybody heard about that tool?
Yes.
Token object oriented notification. So this is notation. Yeah, so if you use that, that's a very, I would encourage everyone to explore tool, at least read about tool, because that's one shot you are just declaring that, hey, these are my fields, name, what, occupation and country of residence, and then probably Arkadip, this, Krish, this, that, another person, this, that. So by that we could save a lot of token. That's the answer?
Yes.
In case of code,
This also put multi-agents as judge. I can create, like if it is simply a kind of markdown file which lists these are a set of rules and whether they are following or not. I can create one agent, then I create one post agent and tell the sub agents to look after, so that I can run parallel.
Makes sense, absolutely, but again, the topic, whatever these guys are asking is kind of a how do we optimize. Today probably the companies are giving kind of a free cloud subscription, free GPT subscription, but tomorrow it will be too much costly. In that time, if I use multiple agents for one thing, that's going to be too much cost exhaustive. So you can use that, but the recommendation for me is that use a model to generate your first structure of answer and then use your best model to evaluate. So like that student-teacher analogy, I can draw that student will give the answer, maybe my class first boy is giving the response, I am expecting that he will give a good response. My teacher will evaluate that, okay fine, he is eligible to score maybe 80 out of 100 and this is some improvement areas, like that. If I ask the teacher to write a class 8 exam, not in sense.
We can apply this in RAG and education communication as well.
So my question is,
So when it comes to evaluation, Tune is for the text oriented, right? So for example, we need to evaluate the code that we written or some other agent that written. Having loading an entire code or let's say one file of code, that itself will consume a lot of tokens, right? How then optimization will be?
Depends. Say for example, normal day, as of today or probably tomorrow, day after tomorrow, Monday when you will go to office. Say for example, if you ask to extract the logs of your existing application, it will generally come into the either log for .log format or the JSON format. Our standard is like JSON. And today,
No, I'm not talking about the logs. Let's say we have written a Python code and then we want the LLM judge to evaluate the code. Then in that case, Tune cannot be used or JSON, not even JSON.
Tune can be used.
Okay, okay. So
Tune can be used.
it will not use the entire code
Right.
for evaluation. Okay.
Can be used, but you have to design the code.
Okay, nice.
so my question is, we should have to use
Louder.
completely independent model given from not from the same family itself. So my question is, like LLMs are trained in different code bases and it may be independent also. So if I am generating the code with one LLM model and we are going to the other model for the judgment, it is generating some list of like recommendations on the basis of its own trained data, whatever it is, and we are using again like different models, so some kind of like guardrails required or something.
Tools will be there, but say for example, if you ask that which sides fund rises, that's kind of a common rule. So whatever model you use, we expect a kind of a same answer. So say for example, my Gemini model gives that sun rises in the east, I will just verify with another model that is it correct or not. If it is correct, well and good. But if you ask a complex question, that what is the best language for hardware programming, maybe I will say C. Some model can tell Rust, some model can tell U. So this is the kind of difference, and then I have to check that whoever told Rust, why they are telling that Rust is better. Is it for something inherent benefits? That's why the last part I initially talked about, the last part is the human ability. As of now, we have not reached the maturity level that agent will do everything. I will again come back to that.
Excuse me. Yeah. For this judge, right, where have you actually integrated this for fetching your code? Have you used it in your DevOps pipeline, or are you having it on your laptop before raising a PR? Are you using these judges to evaluate, or is it integrated to the DevOps pipeline?
So if I talk about my practice, and may not be the best one, just my personal thought, whatever I code, I develop, whether I write or whether I copy from ChatGPT or something, it is in my local environment, I do the development, I do the integration testing, everything works fine. Now if I am satisfied, before I upload to the Git, before I do the Git add, Git commit, this kind of comment, I call the integration pipeline, and this has been distributed across my team that before you do the Git upload comment, evaluate on your local, check the things on your local, evaluate, and then of course then what will happen that whenever you will upload to the Git, there is the agent Copilot. So they will have the secondary evaluation as well, so that I am getting a double verification already. So by that I am getting more confidence that okay fine, because so here gives another analogy. So generally we believe that Opus is the best model as of date. So probably we have written the code with Opus, we got a code. But it does not know what is my SOP, what are the things that I have to follow, what are my standard, where do I put comment. Am I putting comment on the top, or before every model I am putting the comment that it will accept one parameter, it will accept 5 parameters or so. So by that we define. Now, say for example, after Opus gives me the response, I will then evaluate with the Gemini. Is Gemini giving me, Gemini validates that is it correct or not, and after that finally whenever I upload to the Git, already Copilot, whatever the agent, so they will do the double verification.
Is it like, yeah.
I probably don't.
Just running short of time.
Okay.
So
We'll be there.
you can take the questions separately, maybe like that. I think a complete is
So just a comparison that LLM as a judge, we are calling a single LLM, but agent as a judge, we are using multi-step agentic approach. We are evaluating, just have a look instead of me reading out, and for anything I will be happy to take up questions again. So of course, cost on the agent side will be high, time will be more, but quality will be better. I am moving ahead.
Let us read it.
Actually, yeah, LLM guidance, both are using reinforcement learning, right? So here how that order is work. Actually, if I implement with my CI/CD pipelines to take a kind of deployments or do some kind of test.
I have an answer. Just I will remember your question and come back.
One more question.
I will again. I have a memory, I just told you.
We will take the questions separately maybe again.
Yeah, so just a few use cases. Again, I will take a pause because it's kind of a, that's why I put everything and it's here. So that it's a RAG evaluation system, you can use that. You can have it in the model regression testing, how the quality of, I will come back to it. So these are some of the use cases where you can use that. And for agent as a judge, when you need a much more confidence that okay, one LLM may fail and agent can do the planning, do the orchestration, do the execution and putting the recommendation. For that, whatever I shown you from this 1 to 5, this is much little bit advanced use case, kind of a last one if I take example, web navigation. Say for example, if you are checking that this website is correcting properly or not, you have to go to this page, you have to log in, then probably do this, do that, then you are expecting some response. So this is something that your LLM cannot do. In such cases, we need our agent to follow that. Just have a look and for the research fact checking that what are the research. Because for research there are so many things, Scopus kind of things. So what are the things? So maybe I will go back. So yeah, so RAG evaluation system, few things that we will check that faithfulness, as initially I was talking about the World Cup, that if I am talking about the World Cup, is it following the teams Messi, Ronaldo, are they mentioning about them, relevance, whatever the actual answer is coming, is it something that has been asked or given answer, or it is generating the answer randomly. That is the answer relevance. Precision, so precision by formula is true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. No. True positive.
That's okay, no one knows, we can say.
No, true positive, remember. True positive divided by true positive plus false positive. Yeah, so that's why that we retrieve that whatever the actual chance that we get. Am I retrieving the correct chunk? If I am getting more chunk which is not relevant, then penalize. And the last one is the recall. So recall is the other one, the true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. So whatever actually they have predicted correct one and the wrong one, that is in the denominator. So all the chunks that has been retrieved, am I measuring the completeness of the retrieval steps? Am I getting the full picture or not? So that is getting evaluated. Talking about the best practice, just have a look. I have intentionally put everything. That what are the best model, Gemini, Ultra, Claude Opus, are mostly human, can do the human-centric evaluation. Cross-family judges, we have already discussed. Fine-tune models, so this is something that I have not spoken about. consider that you know about the SFT, supervised fine tuning. So probably you are using some small model, but you can fine tune as per your use case. There are multiple Hugging Face models which you can fine tune, and so that it can be your best model for the judging, so that you don't need to spend a lot of money for that. Just do a process. And second thing, whatever model it has been trained, don't you repeat that. Yeah, so these are kind of the bias mitigation strategy. So something we have already declared, that whatever the length normalization, cross family judges, blind evaluation. So what is the production pipeline? So some of you are asking about the production pipeline, how do we do that? So just giving a thought, please have a look, and I will be happy to take up question after the event, after my talk. That this is something that are required, that's why I am giving human in the loop, of course, in the after evaluates, and then after the feedback it will go to the production. So this is the matrix calibration we can do, not much important, and what are the tools you might probably, I am just coming to an end. So these are the tools that we can use, the big file, Blackhash, Evidence AI. I would call that Landsmith is as of now much better compared to all others, but everyone have their own capabilities. So here I will just compare, and based on my comparison I have found that Landsmith, that is Lang graph family having good capability, and that's why it's time to market leader as of now. Now decision framework, few things, again everybody knows token and currency are most important. Should be cautious what you are using, how much token it is getting used. I'm getting very good question that it is consuming too much token, too much cost. So how do we optimize? And then you have to just reduce your complexity. So what are the evaluation metrics? Human correlation, so 0.75, that means whatever the agent feedback is coming, is it kind of something human centric or not? That you should be checking. And when you use the agent as a judge, you already answered that when there are hierarchical steps, chain of thoughts, and you need actionable intelligence, that time you should use the agent as a judge. So worst choice, of course, whenever you are using the offline eval suits, whatever the agent execution, that is getting more costly, but you are getting a better performance. Same thing also here, whenever you are having up the benchmark that this is my industry standard, that time it will be too much research heavy, you will cost more, but at the end you will have good product.
Yeah.
So this is something that you should try to avoid, that edge cases you should not rely everything on human, have a human factor, do adversarial testing, confidence, so you should check that whatever the confidential documents are not getting leaked. So someone asked about the guardrails. So here is the place where we need to put the guardrails. So we will ensure that whatever, don't expose the internal confidential information. What model you have to train also. So future direction, that this is where something that self-improving judge, multi-model judge, domain-specific fine-tune model. This is where we are actually going ahead in future upcoming days, but it will take maybe some years or some months to come. Just last one I quoted a few days back, that these are the two things: explainable evaluation, that it will explain that why you have taken the decision, and this one domain-specified, that why. For healthcare, this is probably the right, but probably aviation industry is not right. So what are the things? So these are some parameters. Based on that, you should evaluate, and that's coming. And these are the something that I have used or probably made to come up with this. So that's mostly takeaways, just as a summary of my entire 30 or 40 minutes talk. These are the takeaways here, and with that, probably some FAQs, and I'm happy to take a question after this. And thank you very much.
I know many of you have some questions to ask. Okay, so he'll be here, so you guys can ask the questions there. We'll continue with the further session because we are already running short of time. So I again congratulate him for coming before time on short notice, and he was also, he was tired the way he was taking his breath and settled down. But it was really a nice session. What do you feel? And we all normally tend to fall asleep, but I still see people asking questions and being interactive, so I mean, kudos to.
So that is audience as a judge.
Finally, we have human as a judge, right? Yeah.
Maybe we should have a complete one-day session for
this
Yeah,
topic.
it's
Yeah,
actually rushing.
yeah, lot of questions.
Yeah, they are not eventually I'm not running out of.
So you're happy that the other person has not come to you?
Next time.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We have some chocolates. So those who asked the really good questions, it was challenging for you to answer also. Not one by one.
Can LLM as a judge help me win an argument? The toughest question. Can LLM as a judge help me win an argument with my wife?
Depends on which model. If your wife is a model, then you can